Hi there, and welcome to the Cotswold Explorer. I'm Robin Shuckburgh, and we're exploring the wonderful region of the Cotswolds in southwest England. We've decided to revisit the centre of the region and find some hidden gems, places that are not quite so famous, but still just as beautiful. In our search for wonderful gems, we've discovered, really often by accident, some amazing villages and places of fascination. But I remembered that in our very, very first episode of the Cotswold Explorer, we dropped in on the village of Yarnton, and it was fascinating, full of interesting stuff, and we've decided to come back. Behind me you see the church of Yarnton. We're going to go inside and visit it and have a quick look at the wonderful Spencer Manor House behind it. Come with me. Yarnton is just a few miles west of Oxford, just off the A44. To get to the best of this little village, you need to drop off the main road and drive into the village proper. Watch for signs to the church and follow the lane till you find yourself opposite the main entrance to the manor house and next to the Church of St. Bartholomew. Norman in origin, this little church was largely rebuilt in the 13th century, and then, in the 17th century, substantially enlarged by the owners of the manor house next door, the Spencer family. This is the Spencer family of Althorpe, one of England's oldest families, and the ancestors of Princess Diana, who played such a big part in the 20th century. They expanded the church to house their magnificent monuments. In 1611, Sir Thomas Spencer of Yarnton built the southwest tower and the chapel at the eastern end of the south aisle, known as the Spencer Chapel. It's in thoroughgoing perpendicular style, with fine, large windows. The monuments include that to Sir William Spencer, who died in 1609, and his wife Margaret. It was commissioned by their son Sir Thomas from a sculptor from the Netherlands called Jasper Hollemans. He'd carved similar tombs for the family in Northamptonshire. This extremely ornate carving was typical of the Flemish style. The chapel also has the largest collection of early 17th century armorial glass in the country. Just outside the door of the church is an unusual cross with elaborate decoration. On the base are sculpted 4 knights kneeling on one knee and canopied figures of ecclesiastics on the shaft. Another cross of almost identical design can be found in Ensham churchyard, and between the two are the remains of others, now largely lost to the plough. In episode 1 of Exploring the Cotswolds, we found this extraordinary cross, and we discovered that it was a stopping off point for religious pilgrimages in the Middle Ages. We've found several since, the last one in Eastleach, much more recently. Evans writes of Yarnton, "No events of national import have given Yarnton a place in the pages of history, but the night of June the 3rd, 1644, must have been long remembered by the villagers. It was on this night that the king, at the head of 3,000 horse and 2,500 foot, made his memorable dash from Oxford between 2 armies destined by the Parliament to complete the circumvallation of the city. Essex on his left and Waller on his right were within a few hours of joining together and entirely encircling Oxford. It wouldn't have taken more than a fortnight for the city to have been driven to surrender. This catastrophe was only prevented by the spirited resolution and prompt action of the king. His object was to secure the passage of the river Evenlode at Hanborough Bridge, a point about midway between the hostile armies, before either of their generals had any suspicion that he'd quitted Oxford. Keeping out of sight of his enemies by sticking to the low path between the hills on either side, he achieved his end and survived to fight another day. I hope you've enjoyed our little spin around the little village of Yarnton, its beautiful church, the extraordinary Spencer Manor House, and of course their memorials. I think you should probably come here quite quickly. While we've been here, we've been talking to some locals, and we've discovered there's a huge property housing development planned for this part of the world. It's busy too. Already you can hear the airplanes coming over the top of me. I should come while it's still lovely. The manor house is for sale. If anybody's interested, I believe it's about 9 million quid. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can find us on all the other platforms, of course, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.